now.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. So it's on to go. I'm gonna go here. Percent. All right. So, hey guys, we're gonna do the schematics presentation today, and yeah, let's hop right into it. Schematics is a pretty good amount of robotics or of the electrical team, especially in the beginning few weeks, and then we still use it as time goes on, but then things get a little bit more tangible, right? So in the first weeks, we use schematics. So what is a schematic? So a schematic is a diagram that of the electronic components on the robot, right? So right when we start brainstorming and before we start actually building, we do schematics so that we can like experiment with the space, experiment with a bunch of different things, and we can change things very easily because obviously it's not physical and it's all electronic, it's all digital, right? So we can obviously edit things, change things around to the way we like it, so that we can test different things and see what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, it's useful because we can find a good layout and find like a good wiring thing. And this matters because some components need to be connected to other components, and others don't need to be. Um, so this really is important because if we have one component that's too far away from another, then the wire gets too long and it gets messy, and there's all sorts of different small constraints like that. So that's some of the stuff we have. And yeah, it lets us experiment and learn from the space, right? For the design team, they have CADing, right? We have the schematics, and for the CAD team, they use Autodesk Inventor, and we use something called Lucidchart. And let's just say that we're on Lucidchart, right? This is what the screen should look like when you open up Lucidchart. So this is the software we use, and yeah, I guess I'll be giving you guys a demo in a little bit, but I'll give you some of the basics right now. Okay, so when you start,
before you move on, this is a free software or we have to license?
Yes, so I'm pretty sure we have to license this, and we got this. I think it was I forget how much, but I know Flambert last year did all of this, and he got us the thing. So it's a very important resource, and it's a very useful resource, and yeah, so we should definitely be using this because it's obviously not free. We're paying a subscription for this, so yeah, use it and learn how to use it so we can use it well and we can be efficient. Okay, so yeah, some of the basics of Lucidchart, right? So we have this top bar here, right? Can you guys see my mouse? I'm not sure if you can.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So this top bar contains a bunch of like different things we can do. For example, if we want to have text, right, we can, okay, but we have to drag a text thing in here. But it's kind of like Google Docs, right? You can change you can change the text font over here. You can change the size. You can do all the underlining, bold, things like that. We don't really use that just like when we need to label stuff. And then there's more stuff over here. We have this line and then 2px, right? So what is this line? So if you go back here, right, you can see all of these wires, right? That's what those lines are. So when you want to make wires, you click this line, you bring the taskbar down, and you can like there's some extra options. You guys will see those options in the demo, but I've forgotten what those are. But then yeah, I think it's color or something else. I'm not sure. But anyway, the 2px here is the size of the line. So if you want it to be a really thick line, for example, you can see some of these wires are thicker than the others. For example, the green and yellow wires are thinner than the red and black. And yeah, we can just do that for like organization and neatness. And yeah, so then that's the size. And now endpoint, you can see this. So that basically lets us have, for example, if we want no endpoint, it can just be a straight wire. But if we want an endpoint, we could have, for example, an arrow or something, where we could have like a big circle at the end, whatever we want to like make it, right? So typically we just use no endpoint because it's just much neater that way. And yeah, just for wires, right? So that's the top taskbar. Now you guys might be wondering, what is this side taskbar, right? So you see there's standard, there's flowchart, there's shapes, and then there's another thing, import data. So let's go through each of these, right? So standard is really just there's a text thing here, so you can drag and drop that here, and you can write down text. For example, this piece of text, we dragged and dropped the thing here to say battery, so that we know that this box is a battery. We drag and drop this and said chain spacing because it's the space between the chains and the edge. So things like that, right? And there's a simple square. There's a sticky note. There's, I don't know what that does. And this is also a line. So you can just drag and drop this here. And yeah, so you drag and drop this here and you change its effects over here. Next, flowchart. This is just some simple shapes you can get, like a square, a diamond, things like that. And then there's some more shapes here. And then you can go plus shapes and get a lot more. But then what we'll be focusing on is our custom like images, right? So on the school computers, you don't need to import the stuff, but there'll be our own section for, I think it says like WB or something, and it has images of all of our components. For example, you guys see these this thing, right? This is the power distribution panel, or the PDP. This is the RoboRio, things like that, right? So we obviously don't have those things in the flowchart or shapes section. So how do we get that, right? It's I don't know the exact process, I've forgotten, but we just we copy that image over here, and now we just have this image, right? So it's basically just a picture, and then we can drag and drop it here, and then we can make our belly pan or the schematic. So that's just a brief rundown of Lucidchart. I'll give you guys a demo, but before we do that, Albert and Hannah, is there anything you guys want to add on to this?
So for the import data thing, it's basically adding like another library. So like you see the flowchart and shapes over there. It basically adds our images. So I think we have a folder of all like the components and stuff, like Joel said, with the PDP and the RoboRio and whatever. You could just like drag that like any other shape. It's just clarifying.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, and we often measure the size of the real component first, and then adjust its ratio so it fits like by ratio onto the into the Lucidchart.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that. So thank you for reminding me, Albert. So what he said was, so Lucidchart's it's actually a really good piece of software, because this white plot, the graph, we can actually change the border size. There's some things you can do. I think it's at edit here. So we can change the size so that we can get a sort of accurate representation of the belly pan. So for example, let's say our belly pan is going to be, I'm just going to make up some numbers, like 2 feet by 1 foot, right? So we can edit that. And so, okay, this is 2 foot, this is 2 feet, this is 1 foot. Obviously, those are not the real proportions of this, but let's just go along with it. So then we want it to be as realistic as possible, right? Because if we just have some random sizes, then it's not going to work out, because if it's too big or too small, and then in real life, we're just going to run out of space or to have an excess of space. So what we do is we measure the things, we measure the actual components, the physical components, and then we can click on the image and we can edit the image so that its length and width are the correct dimensions. But yeah, so it's 2D, so you don't really need to worry about height or anything else. And then yeah, that's basically it. Okay, if that's good, I will. Okay, actually, here's a picture of simple 2019-2020 robot schematics. As you can see, everything's pretty neat and compact. So you can see all the wiring and everything. So this is what ideally we want our wires to look like in the end, right? Very neat, tidy, easy to like check. But yeah, we have to strive to do that in the actual physical robot. And oh yeah, one more thing. You guys can see this little box, right, containing stuff that says Anderson, PWM, CAN, encoder, and so on. So that little thing is called the key, right? In maps have a key. This is basically a map of our electronics. So we also have a key. So this tells us, this is like a color-coded thing for our wires. So it tells us what exactly everything is. For example, you can see Anderson is the red and black wires. So those are the Anderson wires. PWM is the blue ones. I don't know if we have them here, but they should. They're there somewhere. And then there's CAN, which you guys learned about the CAN and the CAN bus. So you can see the yellow and green wires, and then there's a bunch more like Ethernet, encoder, USB, and pneumatics. So yeah, we also do a little bit of pneumatics, I think, in Lucidchart. But yeah. So should I move on to the demonstration then?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. How do I move this thing out of the way? I can't see it. Okay, it's gone. Here we go. So here's like the screen you guys saw earlier, right? In this one, right? But this is in the actual browser. I can actually mess around with it and play around with it. So I'll just give you guys a brief little thing, right? So I think it's edit, and then it's not edit. Where is it? Insert view. Do you guys know where how do I change like this shape or the size of the graph? Is it in?
Go to
I
edit.
you go to
wait, no.
view or something,
View.
and then.
Oh wait, it's over here, isn't it? Page. Oh no. Okay, you know what? Let's not worry about that right now. I guess we'll work on that later.
So on to use it last year.
Yeah. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So yeah. So let's just pretend that this is our belly pan. I'm not sure how long this is or how wide it is, but it's fine. Okay. So let's pretend we are going to do some simple schematics, right? So let's pretend that this is our PDP or something, right? Power distribution panel. Okay, and you guys saw I pulled this thing over, and it has like a text box in it, so I was able to type in it. In the real thing, you won't be able to because I mean, you can put a text box over it, but you won't really be able to because it's just an image, right? And if you want to edit the size of this, I think it was. Oh wait. Hold on, that's not it. I forgot how to change the size now.
You just go there and pull it out.
Here. Okay, you know what? It's fine. Let's pretend this is all to scale, okay? So here's the power distribution panel, and we need a battery, right? Let's pull in this big text box, and let's call it the battery, right? And let's make that a little bit bigger. All right, so that's a good sized battery. And now let's get some wires in, right? We need to connect the battery to the power distribution panel. So you guys saw, okay, let me do that again. So I want to add in wires now. So I go here to standard, and then there's this line here. I can just drag that in, drop it right over here. Or you can drop it anywhere you want. And now you can see it's kind of hard to see. It's really small. So I can edit that by going up over here. So there's obviously some choices here. I can make it solid line, like different ones of these like dash lines, and then there's a feature called jump. So when lines go over each other, you can make a little jump thing, so it's easier to see where the wires are going. But we mainly use just a solid line, right? So that's good. Now we need to change line size. That's obviously way too small, hard to see. It wouldn't be efficient. So we can go here. Let's change it to 12. So now I don't think that's the exact size we'll be using, but it's a good size just for visual purposes, right? So now it's a thick line, and now we can edit that by clicking on it again. We don't want, so that's the rear endpoint, that's the front endpoint. This is the front, this is the rear. So right now the rear endpoint is set to none, so it doesn't have an endpoint. The front endpoint is set to arrow, so it has an endpoint, right? So you can go here, we can go none, and look at that. There's no arrow. So now it's a gray wire, but obviously the wires we use aren't gray, so they're red and black, right? For the battery. So we can I can change the color in a second. So actually, let's change the color first. So we've selected that and it's highlighted, right? So now you click line color right here, and then there's a bunch of different options. So we have the red one here. So let's start with the red wire first, right? Click on the red wire. The wire is now red. That's pretty good. So now we want to connect it to our battery. Usually in the, hold on, do I have a thing of it? Okay, it's okay. The battery will have like this little notch thing here, so we can like connect it, but it's fine. So we drag this wire over here, and then if you guys can see this, I don't know if you can. When I'm dragging it around, it's like moving with me, right? And then I move it close to the shape, and then as it reaches the shape, it latches on, and then there's a red circle on the shape, and so it just lets me connect, right? So now it's connected, and that looks pretty good. So now we just need to repeat this process, but with a black wire. So if you just want to do that, just Control C, paste. Okay, fine. want me to do that. And then now we have another red wire, but obviously it does not. It should not be red because 2 red wires would not be good. So we go here, we go to line color, and we change it to black. All right, sounds good, right? So now we need to connect the battery up to the PDP. So we just drag this like this. Let's pretend that this red wire goes over there, and this black wire. Now we just drag it and put it in there. So now it's hooked up, right? And we can move it around, and as long as they're connected, it will move around with it, as you can see, right? You can move it anywhere, it'll do its thing, and yeah. So this is just a really basic thing. It looks like this, right? And there's just 2 wires connected to it. So that was really basically it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. What else do we need to add? Adding a key is not too hard. I think it's just adding another one of these text boxes, and then saying, hold on, red. Let's just call it, okay, Anderson, and then equals red and black. Okay, but it's a little bit more formal than that. But this is just an example. Okay, so it's just like that, and we got that. So I think that's basically it. Albert, Albert or Hannah, anything else?
There's not really much else you can add to it, but yeah, so like Joel demonstrated, you basically just insert all of these components. We do have a shared file for that, as we said before, and like, so we don't have to keep dragging in shapes. And actually those shapes in the library, I think if you put them in, they'll be like pre-measured already to like what they're supposed to be. So that's fine. And you just keep doing that. So keep inserting components and stuff, wiring, and then eventually you'll get a schematic like we've shown in the presentation. If you can go back to that. No.
I can't. There's this thing blocking my view. How do I get rid of it? Like I don't know if you can. I don't think you guys can see that. There's like a. I click.
You're almost there. Just click it.
There's a box that says. Oh, there, it's gone. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, you'll eventually get something like this, and yeah, basically.
Yeah. I think there's a better example. This is like much neater wire. Yeah. Then yeah. So. Yeah, Lucidchart's a good tool because we can obviously change the size of the thing, so we can actually sort of model it to the size of our belly pan. Another useful thing is here. So you see this thing that says chain spacing. So what happened was in our last year's robot, the chains went over a little bit into the belly pan. So if we had not done the schematics, we would not have been able to like really know that there was. I mean, yeah, CAD would tell us, but we would not have exactly known how like a better way to, adjust everything and make it neat. So that's one of the really good benefits of using schematics, because we were able to see these like little problems. Because if we hadn't used a schematic, we just threw everything on. Obviously the gears and the chains would like clash and it would not even fit in there, right? So that would have been a big mistake. That would have cost us a lot of time. So yeah, that's one of the really good things about schematics. We can see these problems before they happen. So it's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Do you guys have any questions at all?
Yes, I have questions.
Yes.
Is the software a web page, or we have to insert into your local computer?
It's a web page, so you literally only have to like search it up on Google Drive. Like not Google Drive, sorry, Chrome or any web browser, and then you can just do it.
Yeah. For
okay. Then the next thing is, can we have, we have 11 students here in your team. I like them to able to get into the software and practice.
Yeah, give them some time.
Yeah, so we actually have we're using a shared drive or like a shared account, obviously. So you use the WarriorBorgs Gmail instead of like something that's like your own email, and then just you can add like a folder or something and say like practice, and then like you guys can add your own diagrams and mess around with it, whatever, just to get used to it.
Yeah, get a feel for it. Right?
Good. Can you send out the email and CC me to our team? to electrical team, all of them. Then let them practice, right?
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Sounds good. So no other questions from any of the other new students? All right, I'll take that as a no. And so if that's it, then I'm done. And thank you for listening to my presentation. Yeah.
And we are done now?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then if you guys want, you can jump into different team, software or cat or fat,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Am I still screen sharing?
Yeah, you are.
Off. Oh, there it is. All right. Thanks for coming, guys. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.
Where did Sunny go? I was gonna talk to him.
Go with the presentations.